Liftoff of the Space Shuttle Discovery. Marine Colonel Charlie Bolden, the pilot on this mission.
Mission Control, Houston.
All program. Roger, roll, Discovery.
I was a typical kid. I was a mischievous, fun-loving, risk-taking child. Growing up in the segregated South and having mom and dad who had gone through their own struggles, they did everything for us, and so we had a great time growing up. My father was a veteran of World War II. He was drafted into the Army. I decided in 7th grade that I wanted to go to the Naval Academy. I made my application, and I wrote a letter to Lyndon Johnson, to President Lyndon Johnson, and I said, Mr. President, I know I'm not eligible for an appointment from you, but I've been writing to you for a number of years, and I need help. Never heard from the president, but several weeks later, a Navy recruiter came to my house. I ended up getting an appointment and ended up at the Naval Academy. There were 12 blacks in the brigade of 4,000 midshipmen. So I was the only black in my company. Maryland was still a segregated state. People were yelling and screaming, and it was physically demanding and everything, but it got gradually better as I moved into leadership, where I could do something to try to help other people who were coming along. I accepted a commission in the Marine Corps and my aviation option, and I went to Pensacola, and that was where I fell in love with flying. So Vietnam was kind of raging when I came out of the Naval Academy. I was an A6 pilot, the A6 Intruder. Flew a little bit more than 100 sorties. Typical altitude for us going into a hostile area was 500 feet. That was the risk-taking part of it that kind of got your blood pumping. Going to become a test pilot became the next big thing for me. My first year at test pilot school, 78, NASA had advertised for people to apply to become an astronaut. And I talked to my wife and I said, you know, I'm gonna apply for the space program. I said, I'll never get picked, but at least I'll have the satisfaction of knowing that I tried. Phone rang, and I answered the phone. It was George Abbey, the director of flight crew operations. He said, hey, you still interested in becoming an astronaut? And I said, yes, sir. He said, okay, that's good because you've been selected in the 1980 class. The shuttle is an incredible achievement of technology, incredibly complex. It was overwhelming, and I said, I don't think I'm ever going to learn it. We trained and trained and trained and trained, and then all of a sudden one day we got in a simulator, and man, it was like magic. I was blessed to fly 4 times on the space shuttle. I was incredibly well trained and prepared technically. What I wasn't prepared for at all was the emotional experience of looking back on this planet. And I saw this, what looked like this big island, I mean really big island. And I recognized pretty quickly that that was the continent of Africa. There were no borders, there were no boundaries. It was just one beautiful, breathtaking body of land down there. My second flight was the deployment of the Hubble Space Telescope on the vehicle right behind me, Discovery. Absolutely incredible mission. My final flight was aboard Discovery again, and it was the first joint Russian-American mission where we brought 2 Russian cosmonauts here from Moscow. If you take the time to understand other people and understand their differences, you realize that we have much more in common than we have different. And then, after a couple of years, I got a call from Washington, D.C. They said, well, the president has decided that he wants to nominate you to be the NASA administrator. We made a decision that we phase out of the shuttle. We were going to really start investing in commercial capabilities to get things to space, so that was my job. Our species, the species of humanity, is incredibly curious. Humanity wants to go places we've never been. We want to feel the satisfaction of having conquered something that people said was impossible. This museum celebrates people who dreamed of something that nobody else had ever done, but dared to go off and try to make it happen. And so that's the significance of being recognized by this institution with this award for me. I'm an ordinary guy who had an opportunity to do extraordinary things.